Alright, I'm going to be doing a triple feature on the Nassau. It's quickly become one of my favorite ships since I got it at Halloween. And I figure if I'm going to be doing 3 videos on it, well, I might as well actually show the ship. So, of course, it's a Tier 3 premium battleship from uh, Germany. It has a really cool skin on it. I absolutely love the skin. But let's go over the loadout first. So, in slot 1, I've got Aiming Systems Mod 1. Primary reason I have it is dispersion of main battery, -7%, uh, secondary battery firing range, +5%, and dispersion of secondary battery. The torpedo launchers obviously has no bearing on anything. Next up, I have steering gears mod 2. I do that primarily for the rudder shift time. Some of the skills I take with my commander slow my rudder shift time down, and I like to be able to avoid the torpedoes. Target acquisition system mod 1. I mean, it's cool. So like it helps in a couple of ways. So if you're chasing down a destroyer in smoke, you'll actually spot them a little bit sooner because your guaranteed range of acquisition is 50% more. So it ends up being like 3 kilometers versus 2 kilometers because usually it's always 2 kilometers no matter what. It also helps me spot torpedoes a little bit sooner, which is nice, and it allows me to spot the enemy sooner, which honestly in this ship doesn't matter a whole lot. Now, I've been thinking about changing this one out from artillery plotting room. It's not very good at long range, but it does keep my dispersion down. So I'm thinking I'm gonna stick with it for now. I've just been considering this secondary battery, but I don't know. It just I don't know if it seems worth it. Do you want less dispersion, more secondary battery? This thing's got a fantastic secondary battery. We'll talk about that here in a second. Of course, for its HE shells, it's got a reload time of 22.2 seconds, which is pretty quick for a battleship. But this isn't your regular battleship. 3,200 maximum HE shell damage and 19% fire setting chance, which is better than, say, a destroyer or a cruiser usually, but not that great for a battleship. Its firing range is 14.7 kilometers, which for the game kind of sucks. In reality, it's just fine. The longest kill ever made was like 12 kilometers, so AP, same reload time. Maximum AP shell damage is 7,632. Of course, we got damage control party, repair party, and enhanced secondary targeting, which I love. Granted, I'd probably consider having a plane if I had it, a fighter versus a spotter plane. I like the fighters because they help you see for long distances over islands, things along those natures. As far as the flag, I got that silver flag we got recently. I don't have a whole lot. And the camouflage, let's talk about this for a second. If you see the ship normally, it's an alright looking ship. But this camouflage that come with it at Halloween gives it a real steampunk aesthetic, and I love it. I think this is one of the most beautiful ships you're going to see. Survivability. Torpedo damage reduction 13%, so it's still gonna hurt. Hit points 35,400. Artillery, and this is something that I love on this. Its guns aren't that big, they don't hit very hard, but there's a lot of them. You've got 1 front, 1 rear, and 2 per each side. Meaning from just about any angle, you can get 3 guns on them, or 3 turrets. And secondary armament, that's another one. It's got 3 different kinds of secondary armaments. 2 88 millimeters, or 88 Mike Mikes as we call them in the Army. They have a 4% fire setting chance and a 5.7 kilometer range, how I have it set up, which is pretty far. It also has armor piercing secondary armament, which from what I can tell isn't usually as good, but it is 150 millimeters, so I mean, it's not that small. So, uh, and then for the anti-aircraft defense, it's got 4x1, so 488 millimeters with a 3 kilometer firing range. So, not that great, but those are actually just the secondary weapons. So they're the 88 or 88 millimeter L45s MPL C13, which if you look on the secondary armament, that is the top, where they have the 4x1 88s, and then they have the other ones are the 12x1 88s. So apparently they only allow 4 of the 88 mics to engage aircraft. But if they allowed them all, it would be a lot better. But maneuverability, I've got some things happening with the rudder. I've got, a modification to help speed up rudder time because my commander skills slow it down. But it turns pretty well in the water, I feel like. A lot of these numbers don't make a lot of sense. It's not very fast. It's 22 knots, and it takes a little while to get there. Concealment, it's a battleship, but it's not that bad, I guess. It's 11.5 kilometer detectability, 14.7 after firing a gun, which is exactly the range of your gun, 13.5 when you're on fire, 9.6 by air, but of course the guaranteed detectability range is always 2 kilometers. All right, as you're looking at the armor, let's kind of go through this real quick. There's your citadel. It sticks out the water a little bit. It's not super bad, but you've got some pretty thick armor around it. You got, I think they call that the turtleback scheme. So it really, even though it sticks out the water, it kind of has a good angle down to help protect it, and that's 200 millimeter armor, so it's pretty thick. So then of course you've also, it's a very well armored ship. Then on top of that, you got your torpedo detection surrounding it. It is set up really well. I don't get citadeled very often. It can happen, but usually when it does, it's through the bow. That seems to be when they get me. So if they're firing at an angle from over here, that can be the one that does it. But overall, it is a gorgeous ship. I absolutely love it. I love the way the chains wrap over the deck. I love the steampunk aesthetic that it has going on. I love the 2 fists on the front, although I'm not actually for ramming. But as you look, you can just see these secondary guns. They're just loaded through here, all down the side. And then more secondaries up on the top, wrapped around the deck. This thing is beautiful. Can't lie, I love it. Oh, and secondaries back here as well. It's pretty crazy. Secondary monster. There's some more 88s, and there's those 150 millimeters, I believe they were. Overall, just a beautiful ship. Now, talk about my commander. I've got Nikolai von Essen with nooks and crannies. He just makes it so you can get citadels at greater angles. And of course, Andrew Cunningham, he just reduces my shell grouping. His base trait is elbow room, which goes perfectly with this ship. It increases secondary battery range and improves its grouping. I went with flammable cannoneer for my first skill. Gives me a little extra range, but more importantly, it increases my shell grouping. Gyrating drill bits. It increases traverse speed and the shell damage of my AP, but it slows me down a little bit. I don't really care about speed as long as I can turn. Now the next one hurts me a little bit more. It increases main battery shell grouping, but it reduces rotor shift speed, which I want to keep my dispersion low. This thing likes to be all over the place. So it's just one of those things I have to take the hit on the chin. Now I know a lot of people like this emergency specialist. It reduces damage control party reload time, but I don't like it because its duration is 70% longer. If you're putting out fires, right, and you've only got a couple of seconds of damage control party, and then you get hit with the shells again, you're right back on fire. But as long as it's running, you won't get set on fire again, which is nice. It can save you. It saved me from flooding on torps, all kinds of stuff. The other one is reaching out XXL. Don't really care for that because this thing sucks at long range. And so I went with properly meticulous. Once again, secondary enhancement. It increases my secondary targeting duration, or enhanced secondary targeting duration. And it also decreases reload time. And I go with will to rebuild because I like to get in the thick of it. Alright, so that's the Nassau, and we'll be moving on to the videos here pretty soon. I'll attach this one to the first video, but probably not the other two. On to the fight. So now that I've given you kind of a brief overview of the Nassau, it's time to take him out for a fight. Now, I tend to love this match, or this map. It's wide open, which is great for this ship. Now, I don't know how to... Getting in a fight with the Nassau is like getting in a fight with a anthill. Yes, you can destroy the anthill with your bare hands, but it's gonna hurt. You know, the secondaries are incredible. The armor is incredible. The layout for the turrets is honestly incredible in my opinion as well. What's not so incredible though is the guns aren't very good. Like, the best way to explain it, even if they're at the same tier as you and they're a battleship, you're going to be hard pressed to get a Citadel. Even up close point blank range, it's going to chip away at them, but it's not going to punch right through to the Citadel. Not very often. Also, its rear gun is not very useful. So one of the first things I have to do when I come into a match is I have to decide, do I want my guns facing left or right? This is one of the few maps where I get to use it because I always tilt a little towards the island in the middle, put my guns towards the island in the middle. Now, I put them to the front, but just barely off to the left. That way I can swing back to the right and get my rear gun involved. But that's the beauty. There's just about no angle. There's like little bitty tiny scrapes of degrees where you can't get 3 guns involved as long as you're heading towards your enemy, which that's what this battleship is good at. It's not one of those battleships, it's not like an Iowa where I'm going to be hiding out in the wings and just waiting for it. Now, this Kuma's about to learn a lesson, by the way. Don't go broadside against anybody. And he got smacked hard. Double Citadel. Now, Citadeling a cruiser, no problem in this thing. And there he goes. That rear gun actually got involved and got one of the few kills it's ever going to get. Yeah, normally that rear gun, it's wagging around in the back like a tail and doesn't get involved. It does occasionally, but especially whenever you're charging at him. Now this guy, this 101, I decided to wait for it because I knew he was about to run into the wall. And that way I could guarantee a hit. Now I have guns on both sides. So I'm trying to pick a target. I do have HE loaded, primarily because I'm dealing with a lot of destroyers. If you look at this map, it's mostly destroyers, which is not a good sign for a battleship. I can see 2 right now. Which one do you fire at? Honestly, my main goal right now is just avoiding torpedoes because they're coming from all angles. I see that those run out of steam, so I stop turning so hard so I can line up 3 on this wikis, fire, and then I'm back at the G101. Now, G101 is a good destroyer. I like it a lot. But this guy, he doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He seems to like to run into walls. He does get the smoke up, so I'll give him that, but the secondaries are doing their job. I just love the range on these secondaries. And there goes the incapacitation. Another solid hit coming in. And the secondaries are still just going to town. 9 hits with the secondary so far. But then he goes dark. Now it's time to look for another target. My problem is I know there's destroyers everywhere. He just went dark. So now I just know I need to dodge. It's about time. Torpedoes are going to be coming my way. I'm trying to move in a little bit closer. And there's a torp. That's actually from the aircraft carrier. But he was pretty aggravated about that. And here they come again. But now I got to get my guns back into place. I decided to go for the Shenyang. Chances are he's a more skilled player. A lot of the guys playing this Shenyang are, well, they are just trying to get that mission complete. So he's down. That's 2 kills. And there go the secondaries doing their work. But here come the torpedoes, as you might expect. Suicide runs are never a good idea in a destroyer. It's especially not a good idea against the Nassau or anything with good secondaries. Mutsu, Bismarck, whatever it may be. And I'm going to eat these. Nothing I can do about it. Secondaries are still going to town though. And there goes the wagon tail about to get involved. Fire off some AP. But even though he's full broadside, no citadels. They just very rarely happen. No, at least against battleships. Against cruisers, no problem. But now I'm getting torn up. I'm on fire. I've got multiple firing at me. Alright, now this, I believe it's Borask, is next on my list. I switch back over to HE, and I'm just staying moving. You notice I'm spinning, going in circles, zigzagging, every which way I can, because those torpedoes, every one that hits you is like a citadel, and it hurts. But his engines are hurt. My secondaries put their work in. So that's where he's at. Now I'm just going to keep turning in, because I know I can get guns on him before the other ones can reload. So I can just get my other side's guns, and there we go. Bam. But he's doing a suicide run. Never do a suicide run. Especially if your engines are down. And he's down. Now we're Kraken hunting. Nah, and it's back to this Ishizuchi. I believe that's how you say it. So now I'm going to go with my 3-gun stance against him. As far over as I can get while having 3 guns on one side. That's a beautiful angle. And it tends to deflect all the shots coming at you. But that first volley doesn't kill him, but he's close, and I want that kill, so I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk and fire it off. And there goes that Kraken unleashed. And now this Ryan, He's been bugging me. But, like I said, these guns aren't exactly the best at long range. But I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to chase him down as best I can. But realistically, it's not going to do anything. He's just too far away, and this is not the best ship for that. And since he's the only guy left, I stay down the scope for a lot longer than I normally would, just to kind of watch the arc of fire. And doesn't do much. Just, that's what it is. I know they're going to have him finished off, because there goes a big chunk of his health. Torpedoes are coming at him. I kind of feel bad for the aircraft carriers at the end of the match. They just have to take it on the chin. There's not much they can do if there's a whole team coming at them. And there he goes. Well, that's the end of the video. Did pretty well on that match. Kraken, high caliber. It's the way I like to do it. See you for part 2 coming up pretty soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.